I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Jean, you sound decidedly less Scottish today. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm an author, a poet, and I also run a booktube channel, which I'll link in the description box down below. Jean is away this week, so this week I'm taking over Book Break headquarters. Today, I want to introduce you to Hollie McNish. Hollie is a fantastic poet. You may already be familiar with her. She has a couple of books out already, and Picador are publishing her new book, Plum, and I'll insert the cover here, in June. I first came across Hollie a few years ago when some of her poetry videos on YouTube went viral. There was one called Mathematics, which was talking about immigration, and another called Embarrassment, which was talking about breastfeeding in public. Her new book is actually Hollie having a conversation with her younger self. She's taken poems that she wrote from when she was 8, when she was 9, in her teenage years and later, and she's laid them out in the book and written responses to those poems. So it's like parts of herself over various parts of her life are scattered throughout this book, and they're all chattering away to each other. It's a really, really fun idea for a book. It's really witty in places and very hard-hitting in others. Today, Hollie was recording the audiobook for Plum, so I decided to go down and meet her, have a cup of tea, have a bit of a giggle, and talk about poetry.
You have to hide behind the corner. Fine.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. So can we talk about your new book? Because I've been reading it and it's so good. I love it.
Thanks.
It's relief that you're like, thank you. No, it's so great because it's like you're having a conversation with your younger self, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I guess I realised I've written this. Wrote a poem which it's at the end of the book, and it's about fruit basically. And I looked at it and I realised it's basically exactly the same as the poem I'd written when I was 8. Well, not exactly the same, but it's got quite the same topics.
Okay.
Same rhyming scheme. There's exactly the same number of lines, quite a similar vocabulary. I thought, that's interesting. And then I started looking back through all my teenage diaries of poems and thinking, actually, not keep getting asked, but I get asked quite a lot to write like letters to my younger self. I think the BBC did a thing like that you had to write, what advice would you give your teenage self? And I started thinking, actually, I think my teenage self could probably give myself now some advice. So I spent, so I thought, actually, I've got loads of poems that I've written since I was 8, which are basically what my like childhood self was telling me, and what my teenage self, and in my 20s. So I just sort of looked back, and then when I was doing that, I started looking at poems that I've written about being a teenager, or about being 20, or about being a child as well, and thought it might be fun to put them all together. So I've got poems that I wrote like looking back on childhood, and then mixed in with poems that I actually wrote when I was 8 or 10 or
I've got one of them here that I had to write out.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I love it. It made me laugh so much. It's called God, and Hollie wrote it.
Oh God. Yeah, this was about
God is all forgiving. He only wishes well. But if he doesn't like you, I'm afraid you'll burn in hell. I love that so much.
I remember writing it as well because I was so scared after going to these midnight mass.
Yeah.
And yeah, the vicar was like, if you eat this, you'll go to hell. If you don't eat it, you'll go to hell. And I was like, oh.
You're like, I'm here to hear some stories.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit dark.
That's it. And I think the one that I wrote before that was about rainbows, and I was feeling all nice, and then I went into yeah.
Did you discover anything new when you were going through them? Anything you've forgotten?
Yeah, so I guess I didn't really discover like too much new, but there were poems that I'd forgotten about. There was one about periods that I'd forgotten about, which I like texted on my friends. And the nice thing about it was I was going through, because I've got loads more. Obviously, didn't put loads in this book, but I've got ones about like my friends' first sexual experiences and stuff. And so I've been on the WhatsApp group with all my old schoolmates, being like, Julie, do you mind if I put this poem in? Maddie, this one's about you having your period and going green in the face, is that alright? So they're all coming to the launch. But they were like, do not put my name on that poem.
But it's okay, because their names are in this video, so it's fine.
Yeah. Sorry.
How did you feel when you were looking back over them? How did you feel for your younger self?
I felt annoyed, I think, more than anything. Yeah, because I do not so much, but I do quite a lot of work in schools and going to schools, and quite a lot of the time they ask me to read poems that I've written about like touch or porn, or what I think about stuff like that, like sex basically, that I think needs to be talked about more in schools a lot, and generally more openly, I think, with young people and older people. And I was annoyed that I read poems that I'd written when I was like 17, And they seem to be so full of like passion and wanting to have this like passionate life, but being so embarrassed about like my body, lots of things that I didn't really think about at the time. And then like I think I was pretty randy, I think, when I was younger, but just not doing much about it or not knowing what to do about it. And then
just writing poetry about it.
Yeah, well, I was getting annoyed because I thought, God, you wrote this when you were 16. You obviously had these like big sort of, not just romantic, like sort of sexually romantic ideas. Then when I think to my actual experiences and my early stuff, it's like,
how do you think your relationship with poetry has changed then? Do you think it's that it was more private and personal and now you're using it as a tool to shout about certain things?
No, I think it's still private and personal. Like all the poems that are in Plum, I didn't write them for the book.
Yeah. Like
I had them already, so that it's still just like a diary to me, I think. Obviously sometimes you get commission and then I'll write a poem for something, but that's not normally the case. So, and especially with this book actually, like normally I'll write loads of poems and then maybe choose ones that I think people might want to hear or ones that might be alright to read out, and then the other ones I just still keep to myself. Whereas I think this book has got loads of poems that I would normally keep to myself. Like I don't think any of them I would have chosen to stand and read on stage, either because they seem too personal or just because they're a different style of poetry. Like I write loads of short poems, loads and loads, and I never read them out really, just because I'm so used to the sort of longer poems, I guess, being more normal to do on stage. Yeah. From the like spoken word side of things that I've come through. So yeah, I think in a way it's probably more personal, because it's not all poems that I think, oh, this is making a point or this is exciting. It's just
these are stuff that I've written, thoughts that you've pulled together.
Yeah, and there's poems in there that people have, like, family have asked me to take out.
And have you?
No, I had to cut it down by about 40% from the first edit. But yeah, my mum phoned me up and we were talking about it, and I told her I had a poem in about chlamydia. She was like, please don't put that one in it, Holly. I was like, why not? So I just, and my mum's a nurse, and I was like, surely it's good to like
sex ed,
like to stop people being so ashamed that they don't go and actually get treatment for things like that. And then she was like, yeah, I know, but just does it have to be you that tells people?
And as you can tell from this conversation we're having, it's brilliant and it's hilarious and also very moving and just wonderful, and I love it. And I think you're great.
Oh, thanks.
So you're gonna go and read the poems now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go and read them out, and yeah, just hope that I can read them out all right.
We're gonna go spy on Holly while she reads them. So you will see her reading one of these poems out now, so cut to that. Thank you very much.
That's all right, next time.
Cheers, thank you.
When it all seems too much, and I wonder why we're here, and I think about the sun and I wonder why it's there, and my daughter points to space and the emptiness upsets me, and I lament my lack of God and I wish that one would find me. And I worry what is out there, and I wonder what the point is, and I panic about death, and I panic it's all pointless, and I wonder when space stops and what the fuck we're on this rock for. I think of strawberries in the summer, firmed and ripe and juicy, and how perfectly dandelion seeds are made to helicopter breezes procreating across fields. And I remind myself, this is not all about you, Holly.
Plum is coming out in June. Do check it out when it's available, either in physical form or audiobook form, or both, whichever you want to do. Also check the description box down below for a link to Holly's website and details on her tour. She's always doing events across the country, so if you can see her live, I highly recommend it. Please let us know in the comments section down below if you have any advice for your younger self, and also maybe you wrote some poetry when you were younger that you would like to share with us, because we'd be very interested to hear that too. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Book Break. Please do subscribe if you're new for weekly bookish videos. I hope you have a great week. Bye!